Good morning, students. Today, from your Hornbill books, we are doing poem Childhood, written by Markus Natten. The poet seems puzzled about the loss of childhood. It is natural in the process of growing up. Still, the poet tries to find an answer to his two queries. When did my childhood go? And where did my childhood go? When did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Was that the day? The poet wonders at the possibilities that might be responsible for the cessation of his childhood. He regrets having lost the innocence that he had as a child. Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Now the poet wonders whether the waning of childhood is related to the number of years one has lived. He questions whether one leaves behind childhood when one turns 12. Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Now, the poet realizes that geography is a study of places, but hell and heaven could not be found in geography books or in atlas. Since they could not be located anywhere in the world map, he concludes that they did not exist. He would believe only what he could see and find. Was that the day? He thus reached a logical conclusion based on his reasoning power. That was that the day when he lost his childhood. When did my childhood go? Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. Was that the day? The second possibility of departure of his childhood relates to the time when he realized the hypocrisy of the adults. Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. Now, the poet feels that these adults were not all that they seemed to be. There was apparent contradiction between the words and their deeds. They talked of love and advised others to love, but they never acted affectionately. The poet finds the adults to be double faced. He observes a wide gap between what they preach and what they practice. Hypocrisy has taken the place of innocence in their life. Was that the day? The poet realizes that the loss of faith and trust in adults might have been the major step towards losing his childhood. When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine? To use whichever way I choose, producing thoughts that were not those of other people, but my own and mine alone. Was that the day? The third possibility relates to the time of departure of his childhood when he found that he was the master of his own mind. He finds himself unique. He could use it whichever way he chose. He could now produce his own thoughts and need not repeat those of others. He comes to trust his ability to reason and think. A sense of individuality dawns on him. He could now think independently and need not repeat parrot like thoughts of others. the poet realized that he had become possessive of his own things and had started thinking for himself. He wonders whether he lost his childhood on one of these days. Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place that's hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know. In the final stanza, the poet takes up a next question: where did my childhood go? The poet does not know where and when he lost his childhood, but it was definitely within him once upon a time. The poet feels his childhood has gone to some forgotten place because it is untraceable now. Even the recollection of it has faded away with passage of time. He concludes that childhood resides in an infant's face. That is, childhood is the abode of innocence. The infant's innocent face hides many things behind its smile. The moment one loses innocence, one ceases to be a child. Perhaps the childhood lies hidden in some forgotten place, lying buried deep inside a child's consciousness. The poet implies that adolescence follows childhood in the same way as childhood had replaced infancy. It is a stage in the process of growing up.